Okay, so what we're going to do today is in Student Manager, we're going to look at adding a short course. Now, the difference between um, qualifications and short courses are that qualifications are your longer learning programs. So they are programs that may run over, let's say, 6 months or a year, and they'll have different aspects that are going to be covered. So someone may be in multiple modules, for example. Whereas your short course would be a shorter learning program. There's maybe like 6 weeks, and they're only going to be, and your learners are only going to be exposed to a certain body of content. They're not going to, for example, be doing maths and history and something else. They'll only be focused on maths. So if you have the access rights, we assume that you're entering this course as a system administrator. What we're going to do is we're going to go to short courses and we're going to add a new short course. Now, you'll see that there are fewer options here than the qualifications one because not all the options pertain to short courses, so they've been switched off to make it simpler to add. Take note of these four. So you can still pull reports for this. You can still link it. It'll still be linked to our inquiries page, your institution's inquiry page, and the name on the application form. So you can also do applications as well. With this, you can set all these as different. So internally, we could call this short learning program A, but the name on the reports could be with a code that we could say it's A02. There we'll leave it a short learning program, and then we could put A02 on the application. So just so that you know, you can have different names. So I'm going to call this SLP A02. Right. Don't need to describe it. Maybe there's no credits for this course. If there was a credit in NQF, you could choose those. Like with the adding a qualification, prospectus summary on your applications page for your institution, which is built into Student Manager. You can add descriptions, add images, files for them to download off the summary page, and then the detail page is once they've read the summary, they can then go on to the detail, so they'd actually read more about that particular learning program. And this is the page that will actually allow them to apply. So for example, you could give an overview of the course in the summary, but on the detail page, tell them stuff like entry requirements and payments that need to be made beforehand, stuff like that, so that they're aware of those things. If there's any forms you want them to download, you can also link them to this page. So maybe they can download your debit order form or forms like if there's any learner confirmations or disclaimers or anything that they need, they can download those as well. And so they'll have them up front, then later on in the application process, they can upload them. Okay, so now we're happy with this course. So we are now going to save it. Okay, once it's saved, the next thing we need to do is we need to decide which of our campuses or sites are going to be offering this course. So I'm going to say that this is only an online course. So it won't be at any of the other campuses. It's only going to be online. If you wanted at any of the other campuses, then you'd add all the campuses here. But for now, we're just going to have it at the one campus. This is sort of your main control for your learning program, because a qualification will have intakes. So for example, you're going to have maybe learners that start in 2019 or 2020, 2021. You may have one group in the year, or you'll have two groups, maybe a January start and a June start when they actually start their program. But for your short courses, it's probably offered for a few weeks at a time in a year. So you're going to focus more on working with your groups. So for me, with working with this, yeah, we have registration dates which control when you're able to actually run registration. So after this particular date, it won't allow you to register. So after the end of December. So I'm going to change it, because we're going to come back to this every year. So I want to show the groups available for 2020, because that's when I'm working with it. But for now, I'm just going to keep this open for as long as possible. So when I come in every year, I'm only going to change the groups that are available to the current year. So next year I'll make this 2021. So now we need to add a group. So let's say that we offer this course 3 times a year. So the first group we're going to offer it with is going to be, we offer this course in May. You could write more, but for me, it's just clearer to know that when I'm searching for stuff and I search for groups in 2020, because that's how the system works with the dates, I only need to worry about the month when it happened. So if I had 3 in May, maybe I'll call them May week 1, May week 2, May week 3. So let's do it that way. Let's say that all of our courses happen in May, and we want to schedule people into the different slots. So let's do that. So we'll say May week 1. Week 1. So, okay, so we're going to go to May, and we're going to say that this course is happening from the 4th to the 8th of May. Okay. We don't have to set the maximum number of students. That's a visual indication for you. This, like with the qualification setup, you don't want to, if you're going to use the formative and summative, it means that learners need to achieve a certain level in sort of class tests and other assignments and things before they have access to their final assessment. So for this course, I'm not going to have that kind of setup, so I'm going to keep it simple. So I set it for simple. Okay, so we have our May week 1. So I'm now going to create a May week 2. Okay, and I'm going to add May week 3. Right, let's just change that. Okay, so now at least I know for the month of May, all of my groups that people could potentially go into are set up. Okay, information capture wizard, like your application wizard in qualifications, this is your method for collecting information from learners. So it's similar to your what would currently be your paper version of your application form, or if you were doing online applications before, it's basically your an online version of the data you want to collect from a learner to vet them for the course. Okay. So basic information, we aren't going to edit that because we can't add the sections. It's always going to have the first name, last name, and email address for the learner because we need to send things out to them. So what we generally do is when the person starts the course, you want them to get an email notification of some kind. So you'll go into your settings here and we'll edit and we'll say, okay, when it starts, we want to send an activation link. Okay. So we can say, dear so because they're going to click submit on the first page to go to the next page so they can continue with the application, we will then have their first name and last name in the system so we can send them an email. So we're going to say, dear so-and-so, thank you for beginning your learning. Okay. Okay. Right. So we have that set up. So maybe I want to put that in bold and I'll have that in bold. Okay. Required. Okay, so while we're on this page, what we're going to do is look at a few things. So we have this email. So once they're done on that step, an email will be triggered. The other thing we're able to add is we can give them some kind of clarity in terms of what to do with the information that's displayed on that page or the stuff that we want to collect, the type of information we're going to collect from them. So we can say, for example, please note that we will Okay, so please note that we'll only use your email address to communicate with you regarding academic matters. So you're just saying, giving them a heads up. You could also say for any questions or queries. Okay, so if you require, please contact, and we could say, let's just use an email address for this example. So we'll say, okay, so what I want to be able to do is have them click on this and it will pop up in a window for them to send an email. Before that, let me just center this. So what I'll do is I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to use this link option here. And I'm going to say that this link type is an email, and it's going to go to this email address, and it's going to be okay. Oops. I hope that's spelled correctly. Okay. So that'll happen there. So now we have some instruction for the user here on this page, or the applicant. This is the email that we're going to send when they click to go to the next step. We can, if we put in a reviewer on the page, we can activate this, which means that their application will be paused on this particular step. We can then notify a reviewer. They'll come in, do the review, and once the review is complete, we can trigger another email for the learner. Okay. Terms and conditions, you can just put in stuff, yeah, like, I don't know. I acknowledge XYZ by submitting this, submitting this application. So they know that by submitting this application, what's going to happen. If you wanted to, you can then change the color of it, increase the size of it. So, okay. Right. These miscellaneous aspects down here are allowed deferral means that a staff member can defer doing the review to a later stage. So that means that the option will come up for the staff member to select that they are deferring. If you select that option, it allows you to continue with the application. And what needed to be reviewed can be reviewed later. If you select requires review of all previous steps to continue, this option means that if a number of reviews needed to be done on different steps and they haven't been done yet, So they were deferred and deferred and deferred. If you check this box here, requires review of all previous steps to continue, what will happen is it won't allow you to continue past that step until all those other reviews are completed. Okay. Hide future steps until complete. This is one, like if you had 10 steps in your process, for example, and you had sort of a cutoff that after the third step, people get split. So some would get rejected, some would get accepted at that process and be allowed to proceed with the application process. Then you could hide everyone's stuff at that stage, and then once the review has been completed and they've been notified that they can now access the stuff, they'll then see all the other steps, whereas everyone else will stop at maybe step 3. So that's what that is for. So we're not going to do that because this is just the first step. We want to make sure they get the activation link, and so that we know that if during this process they exit and then come back in, they can log in and access their profile and continue with the application. So I'm going to save that. Okay, so we have that saved. Now we can collect more information from them if we'd like. These get loaded by default for you so that you are aware that there is another step, because sometimes when people are setting it up, they think that the basic information is the only step. Let me just edit this. And I'm going to call this the standard wizard. So this is our standard that we're using currently. In the system, you're also able to do set up certain types of automatic student number assigning. These are useful if you're going to use stuff like a student number for payment reference. And there's different types of combinations that you can use. So what we do here is we can say that a student number will be created for this learner on completion of a certain step. So they'll be assigned some type of code. Obviously, the system's just assigning this, and they are numbers that are going to follow in sequence. So you can just switch it on and not have to worry about the number, because obviously if they don't complete the application process, they sort of link to that reference number, and it's not going to affect anything in the system unless you're concerned about only giving student numbers right at the end, because you'd like to know that your number sequence from 001 to 100 are the students for a given year. But if not, you can use that year. You won't use this section for short courses because we link directly after the applications process directly into dealing with payments for the course, because there isn't any other information. If there was a thing that you stopped at the end of applications and you dealt with finances separately, then you'd use this option, but it's not really necessary anymore when you're doing a short course. You can use it for the qualification setup. Okay, so we have this running. Now I want to collect some more information, so I'll say I want to get a contact number, and I'll show the home and work, the mobile and work, but I only require the mobile one. And because there's finances involved, I need an address. So for the address, I only want postal. Oh, sorry. I'm going to show both, but I only require the postal address. And then the last thing I need is some kind of identifier. So I need an identification number. Our identification number tool covers two aspects. You have a your identity document, and then you have a passport. So those are the two that are covered in the identification number. So they get to choose whether they're adding a passport or a identity document, like a South African ID, for example. Or yeah. So we have those. So now the next thing we're going to do is we want to, just so that it's understandable, we're going to do a document upload. And the instruction we're going to give them is please be aware that okay. So we can say, because we're going to put a review step here, that we are going to submit this for review. And then we'll say, dear, I'm going to save this. I don't want to retype everything. Let me just go grab some of this text from here and copy it. Okay. Application submitted for review. Thank you. Your application. Please note that your sorry. Thank you for your application into qualification learning program. You will receive feedback within 48 hours. Okay. So we have that. Okay. So when we do a review, you either stop where it is or you allow it to continue. So in allowing it to continue, that's a review being complete. Okay. The system doesn't have rejection emails because individuals will be rejected for different reasons. So what we're able you can from the system send other types of emails. So you can go in there, search for the person and send them an email and keep track of that conversation. But the challenge is that because things have different reasons for being rejected, you can't just standardize and have a single rejection email. And also, if you're offering short courses and things like that, you want to give the person an alternative so that you don't lose them as a potential client. You want to give them a different method of continuing to study. So because of that context, we just have this email to send to applicant once staff review is complete. So this is standardized in terms of them moving forward with the process. So we can now give an email to say review complete. Access to maybe course material. So what we're going to do is we're now going to say to them that their review is complete and they should have access to their material within a certain time frame. So when we now want to send them a mail, we're going to say we're now going to reference access to their learning material. So we look at the so now we'll look at so now what we'll do is we'll give them some kind of reference to say that they'll have access to the course material in a certain time frame. So what we could say is, please note that the course will be finalized once your payment for X amount has been received. In the next step, you will be able to upload a proof of payment banking details are as follows. Your reference number for this transaction is okay. There is a list of these different things that you can put in here, which are displayed on the page that you're accessing this video from, so you can use those in the body of the text for your applications. Just makes it easier so that you don't have to keep looking these up. So at least they know that, and they can deal with their payment. Okay, so now what we're also doing is we're using these emails to let the applicant know what's going to happen next, so that they have an idea that they're about to pass the step or they're about to go into this next step. Right, so we save this. And we have our information capture complete. Now we're going to deal with payments. So we know that the learner is going to come to this payment step, and then they're going to upload a proof of payment. So what we'll do is, because that will be the next step after the information is captured, and then we'll say you don't need to add as many of these notifications as I have here. It's just showing you the flow and how you can use it. So what you're able to do now is say, dear applicant, thank you for submitting your proof of payment. Verified. Okay. And this is regards finance. Okay. So we'll call this missions finance. Right. So we have that. Now, what we're able to do is, because this has happened, the next step will be that staff have verified it. And again, it's only if it's been verified that this will happen. So what you could do is you could have it here that it's continued, or you could put it on the finalized step where they just put into the course. So I want to do it on the finalized step once they've been actually finalized into that course, and say that okay. You can now access your learning material. When you log in to your learner portal using the activation link sent earlier, when you log into your learner portal using the activation link sent earlier, all your material will be available under the e-learning tab. Got registrar. Okay. So what's happened is they've gone through the admissions process, they've gotten financial clearance, and now they can access the course. So that's the flow. So what you do is, now that we have all of this set up, so we know that these are sort of the emails we want to send them, we are going to start now with giving staff a heads up as to something's going on. You may not want to let staff continuously be bombarded with email notifications as to what's going on in the process. So it's better to do it when they need to, when they need particular access. Sorry, it's better to do it when they need to perform a certain action. So they know they're going in for a certain reason. For example, on the document upload, let me just add a document. I forgot about that. Let me just add a document to upload. Let's just say it's the identity document. Just note that these are set up under more and settings. So under more and settings, you can then do your required documents, and then they'll be available here. But now that we have these here, what we're going to do is what we're going to do is add a reviewer. So we're going to say that we want from the online campus, for the online campus, because this is the campus that we are or dealing with, we're going to say that for the online campus, we want Bruce Wayne to do the review, and he won't know that he needs to do a review unless he's notified. So what we're going to do is also then get Bruce Wayne to be notified. A default notification recipient is, let's say that you only had one campus and only one person needs to be notified, then you use that. But if you had more than one campus and you need multiple people to be notified, then you'd use notification recipients. Okay. So we've set that up. So Bruce Wayne's going to be notified because he's responsible for applications. But now a student has submitted a payment. So we need a certain staff member to be notified from the finance section, for example. Let's use James Batterby, that a student has submitted something, yeah? You need to go in and check. Then the person who's going to finalize this application needs to know, or finalize this registration into the course, needs to know that the payment stuff has been concluded and the person has passed through, so they can now register the person. So let's do that. Michael Flatley is going to be notified because they're the person who's going to finalize this. Okay, if this was a course that only had one lecturer, for example, or one trainer, you could then add them on here to be notified that this has been finalized, because they now need to go deal with the student in the course. So you can use the notification in that way that it prompts staff at the right time for the things that they're responsible for. And they'll get a notification, and based on when they get it, they know, okay, I need to go check finances, or I've been notified, which means that there's a new student in the course. I need to go deal with the course. So that's how you can automate it with these. Okay, so we've been moving along these steps to make sure that our short course program has been set up properly. What we're going to do now is we're going to deal with the payment settings. So the way the payment settings work is, when you are working with payments, these are if you're going to offer different types of payment structures. So you could have a set payment thing that, based on the costs, they're going to pay a certain amount, or you can add discounts to that, but that's not, that's only if you have those in place. Because I've said that there's a payment earlier on, maybe you don't have that, they only have one amount to pay, so all of that's not necessary. You can then say that on the settings now, you can now say that, oops, sorry, I didn't click edit. So you now can say that someone can, this will show on that apply page, someone can apply online. You don't need to select to start registration, groups must be selected. That's something you're going to do at the end when you allocate them into either the May week 1 or the May week 2 or the May week 3. And then it says if payment terms are selected, if payment terms are specified, we're not going to specify those for this course, but we do want a proof of payment because we have a set price that we're going to get them to pay. Right. So this means that they're going on their payment step, they'll just have a box that allows them to upload a proof of payment. So now we have set up our course, and the course is ready to accept applicants. Okay, what we've done here is we've said that applicants can apply online. So someone could come from the outside, or as a staff member, I can actually do this application internally. So the difference is we have all of the stuff at the top because we're currently logged in. When someone applies from the outside, they won't have that bar at the top. So I'm going to do a new application, and for me, oops. Right, so we know that we're registering on the online campus, and it's the short learning program that we want to link someone to. Okay, so for them, it's going to be different because they're going to click apply, and the apply button will take them directly into the campus that they need to do. That's the external view of it. So maybe let's have a look at that and see how it looks. Just bear in mind that they don't see this bar at the top. I'm showing you the staff view. So you see you have all your courses with their information. So I'm going to do this short learning course. So it has these different application buttons for the different campus. So if you were to disconnect that campus, that button would disappear. So this course is just an ongoing course, and they are now allowed to apply because it's open forever. So they can apply for it. Or you can restrict this with those registration dates and change it, and then they won't be able to access it after 2020 or for the next few days, depending on how you want to restrict it. Okay. So that will be the external sort of view of this bottom section. But we internal, so now we're going to, I'm going to add a fake person here. So we're doing Peter Piper, so piper.peter at paidpaper.com. Okay, paidpaper1.com. All right. It's all fake, but I just want you to see how it looks. So now we're going to apply. So now the system is going to go in and actually create an account for this person. It then triggers the first email. So the first email has now been triggered. So now they have the particular information that they need. So the stuff that they need to fill in has an asterisk next to it because those are the ones that are required. So if you wanted to, you could add that into that section at the top of the page to say, please note, all required fields are marked with an asterisk. Right. So now what you're going to say is this person is from, let's say they're from France, and their contact number is, okay. The next thing we're going to do is Google, because this is a Google plugin, as you start typing the address, it will give you a prompt for the information you want to fill out. So I'm going to say 22 let's say this person's in Dublin, Ireland. And so it fills that in automatically. These provinces are for South Africa. So this is outside of South Africa. So what we do is we can where are we now? What country was this? Ireland. Iceland. Dublin. Ireland. Okay. And there's no province because it's not South Africa, so it's going to leave that province blank there. And then they're going to say they have a passport, and the password is P4C10. 10. Right. Next. Okay, so we have to upload something here. There's that star. Going to add a image file. Okay, so now we've reached this and I've been stopped here. So a couple of things on this page. It says that I don't have rights to review the step because I wasn't given access rights to it. And so now we're sitting here. The other thing is, so I can't do anything on this page. The next thing is at the top, it says that at a certain time, the activation link was sent to that person. Do you want to send it again? So it's just so that you are aware that in the background, an activation link was sent. What happens is if you didn't have emails triggered that had the activation link in it, you could still send an activation link, but it won't be automated. You could only send it at the time you'd like to by initiating the process and sending the activation link. So it's, if you want to automate it, it's good. But if you forget to automate it, you'll see that a different message will be at the top that will tell you that the activation link hasn't been sent and you can now send it. So you just have that option there. So because I don't have access over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself access. So we're going to go to the short course and then we're going to configure. I'm then going to look at the capture wizard because that's where we gave the access. We're then going to say, okay, we had that as a reviewer. I'm now going to add this account. So I have to choose the right campus and then, so we're adding that in. Now if I refresh this page, it should allow me to, unless it's the other account I was supposed to use. Ah, it's the right one. Okay, so now I can view this file, click on it to view, and now I can complete the review. Okay, so we now get to a page that says that the review is complete, continue with the application. So it's just saying that we've gone past a review step in the process. Let's continue to the end. Okay, so we're going to continue it. And now, because technically, because it's a short course, there's only one module. All right, and we've set up a special price that we told him what to do. Because of that, we can now have him upload a proof of payment. So I'm just going to use that. And then we're going to confirm the payment. Right. So now, because I've been given access to the registration process, I can now also do confirmations. There's a restriction that you put on the person's profile for that. And this person I'm going to put into, because let's say my other groups were full and they'd reached the amount that I needed them to. I'm now going to put him into week 3. When I click finalize, that last email is going to go through to them, which will say that they can now access the course. And they now have a student tab. You see that they were assigned a code automatically. You see that they were sent an activation link when I created this, and yeah, they are in the system and they have contact details and address details and a document uploaded. So that was all part of the process. So that is setting up a short course and registering learners into their different learning programs. Remember that process can be split, that they can start it and then hand it over to you, or you could just do the whole process on your own in the system. I hope that you have found this helpful. Please send us a mail at support@studentmanager.co.za if you have any questions or queries regarding this. Also, have a look around in our help documentation for any other questions which you may have in terms of setting things up in the system.